Hey guys, figured I would start this by just playing a little guitar just to show you that even though I don't play as often as I used to or want to, like I'm still trying. Here's an old favorite of mine just because it's fun to play and it just has a lot of energy. So, she's got tickets to her own show. Nobody wants to go, and I'm stuck sitting in the front row, singing along like there's no tomorrow. It's funny how you say that you made it on your own when you haven't worked for anyone your daddy didn't know. Say you got a job, but I don't know what you do. Such a fucking snob, but you'll never know the truth. Perfect on the outside, but nothing at the core. It's easy to forget when you show up at my door. Stop messing with my mind, cause you'll never have my heart. Perfect little body makes me fall apart. Perfect little body makes me fall apart. She's got tickets to her own show. Nobody wants to go, and I'm stuck sitting in the front row, singing along like there's no tomorrow. La 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 la. She's got tickets to her own show. Nobody wants to go, and I'm stuck sitting in the front row, singing along like there's no tomorrow. Cool. So, now that that's kind of done with, I figured I would just update. Sorry, I don't want to smash my bracelet. Um, so yeah, we're in like month 6 of quarantine. So COVID-19, it is currently around the end of October, October 22nd. And essentially, Art's on a camping trip right now, but the weather's been super crazy lately. We've had thunderstorms and rain and heat, and it's smoky outside, so I can't really run. And just we can't go outside really, anyways, because of COVID. So I try to limit my exposure and just stay indoors pretty much all the time. Um, it does get a little tiring and lonely not being able to see friends, but I'd much rather just kind of tough it out and wait till everything's a lot safer where I can go and comfortably see people instead of just kind of forcing it now and then, everything backfiring like it is and everybody essentially spreading it even more just because, people will be like, oh, well, I'll just see like a friend or two. And then those friends or two will be like, oh, I'll just see a friend or two, and not really knowing the extent of the spread. So I'm just completely trying to avoid that. If I see my friends, I do it through Zoom. Um, and so, not to get into a whole like COVID-19 rant, but essentially, like, that's kind of been my life lately. Um, Work has been pretty busy, which is kind of funny considering there's a lot of unemployment going on too. But essentially, since I recently, in March, right before COVID really got bad and we had to shelter in place right before then, I switched jobs. And so now I work for a software cloud company, which is thriving kind of in this time because everything should be on the cloud. So all of your data is on there. So that way, like, we're able to meet customer needs without them having to go back into their physical labs. Like, they can do a lot of their work just on the internet. So I'm very thankful and blessed that I made the switch in my career when I did. Um, and it's been pretty busy, but I'm really enjoying developing my role and getting a lot of praise and recognition for all of the effort that I put in. So that's very different than kind of my previous employment. So I'm really, looking forward to growing in this job and growing in this, branch in my career and just kind of seeing where it takes me. So um, that's been pretty cool. One thing about that is actually, I think it was about a month ago or a couple weeks ago, um, we had an all hands on Zoom, and essentially our CEO told us that we were going to be um, essentially following the same thing that Google and Facebook are doing. So they're letting their employees work from home for at least a full year, um, just for safety precautions. COVID, it's crazy. So um, our CEOs basically told us like we won't plan to return to an office until at least August of 2021. So that's big news because like it it shocked me that like wow, this is going to be such a long stretch until I can actually have like a normal office routine and situation with my colleagues. But at the same time, it was also kind of like this sense of relief of okay, cool, like I don't have to be on the alert of like me having to figure out how to go back to work in like a month or two, or however long it was getting extended. Like for sure we have a year. Get yourself situated, get yourself cozy, like, and then after that we can kind of figure out how to bring everyone back to the office. So that's been kind of a relief for me, and because of that, um, we're in a one bedroom like condo right now, and though it's been a lot spacious, it's been pretty spacious and more so than like my previous places that I've lived. Since I am going to be working from home for at least a full year, I'm thinking like to make it fair and just be more beneficial for me and Art, like I think we should just move into a two bedroom, more space, so that like I'm not taking up the kitchen table with all of my work stuff, right? Like I want him to be able to enjoy the space too, because right now when I work, I'm on the kitchen table taking up that whole real estate, like that whole corner of the room. But it's also directly connected with the living room. So essentially, if he wants to just chill in the living room while I'm working, that's not ideal because I'm on meetings all day. So I think just to make it fair for him and just more comfortable, especially since he's not going back to work until February, um, and we're going to be sharing the space, it makes the most sense for us to look at a two bedroom. And since technically I don't have an office headquarters to commute to, um, I'm taking it upon myself that in this year, like being flexible for change and just trying things out at least for a year. Um, I am very open to like just looking anywhere kind of within this relative space of an area just to see like where we could get a good deal for a two bedroom that's nice and spacious for us both. Um, and so I'm thinking even just like South Bay, Art's always wanted to kind of go back to San Jose because it is cheaper and you do get a lot more space and it's very nice areas. Um, and like I was always kind of opposed to that because I don't want to be too far from my parents and my friends and work, because my work has always been in San Francisco. But realistically, if my career is letting me work from home from anywhere, I should be able to, adjust to living, more South Bay at least for a year. So I'm thinking it's the best for both of us. He'll be closer to his family. He'll be closer to his physical work when he returns in February. Um, I'll have flexibility to just work from home. But as long as it's close enough to, Caltrain or whatever, or BART, once that opens up again in a year or whenever, then I'll be able to, go see my friends. I think in the meantime, like, even if we're not as close to BART or whatever, like, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking it anyways. So I feel like he's probably still going to be driving us around and, like, dropping me off if I'm going to go see friends. So I'm not too worried, but that was a big ramble of everything that's been going on and things that I've been thinking about. And so though I do like this space, I feel like realistically we're not getting any more use of the amenities that were originally like nice features, like the gym, the sauna, the pool. Like we can't really use that, like because of COVID. Like technically we can, but we have to sign a waiver. We have to, schedule blocks to and time slots to go. And I really honestly don't feel comfortable like using these spaces considering that our COVID numbers are going up and not down. So though we do have like a nice little like view, I don't think that justifies the cost that we're paying for a 1 bedroom. Especially now that like, oh yeah, it's kind of close to Caltrain. It has all these nice things, but realistically, if we're all staying at home, it doesn't really matter, right? Like as long as you have a home that's big enough and spacious, like it makes more sense right now to invest in that than investing in all of these other shared amenities, right? So that's kind of where I'm at, and just kind of thinking about where would we move and making sure that I'm getting all my work done, and on the weekends, spending time to just relax and, play guitar. And even today, like I haven't dressed up in such a long time, and you get kind of in your rut where you're comfortable, and I think that's totally fine. But at a certain point, like I just want to make sure like I can still put on makeup. I just want to make sure that like, I can feel comfortable with myself. And especially since Art's been out all weekend on a camping trip with his friends, like I feel like it would be nice if he came home and I was just all dressed up. So there's a lot of things that kind of went into it, but I just decided like, hey, Sunday fun day, let's hang out, let's make a video, let's play some guitar, let's dress up. And yeah, so again, like one of the reasons I didn't end up going on this camping trip was because the whole COVID-19 thing. Like I understand he wants to see his friends, and if it wasn't like this COVID times, like I would have totally gone. But I just feel like let's limit the risk of exposure. Like I don't feel completely comfortable being surrounded by a few people that don't have their masks on, us, sharing spaces. I know he's smart. He knows what he's doing. He's gonna, be very hygienic and clean, and he is gonna take a COVID test when he comes back just to be safe. So I'm glad we're aligned on that. But essentially, like it's also important just for us to have our own space, right? Like I think these last couple months, as an extrovert, I feel like I've kind of clung to him to hang out all the time and do things together, just so since I can't hang out with my friends, I feel like at least I can hang out with my boyfriend. But since he's a little more on the introverted side sometimes, like I think more so than I am. He's also extroverted, but I think like he needs a little more alone time. And I've kind of invaded that since we've been living together constantly in this single space. So I think it's important for him to kind of have this time, hang out with his friends, just talk freely, and just enjoy it, and just kind of like forget all of the stresses and worries that have been going on lately, right? I deal with my own kind of personal things that happen every once in a while where I just get frustrated and overwhelmed. This last week for him was super overwhelming. There was a lot going on, and it's just like to the point where he deserved this break. He deserved this rest to kind of, recharge, re-energize, and just kind of like chill. And it was funny too because at a certain point I think he lost cell service, and he was telling me that was probably going to happen. So basically he lost cell service as he was getting there, and then I haven't been able to really contact him for the last day and a half. And so it did make me feel like a little antsy, in that this is the first time in a long time where we haven't like texted each other like in any day. Like I think this is the first time where we really haven't texted each other more than a day in a few years, I think. So it was kind of weird at first, but it's like also this like, okay, good, you're able to just kind of disconnect from all the stresses that you were dealing with. Even possibly me if we were like arguing, but right now we're not. But essentially just kind of like a disconnect, like do your thing, have fun. Like I will trust that you're safe, even with all like the thunderstorms and wind warnings and everything going on. Like, I know he's a smart guy. I know that, you know, if shit hit the fan and things went haywire, like if the weather got really bad or it got really smoky, like he would be smart and he would be the first one out of there, right? So I'm not too worried about that. I think it's just like that thing of not being able to like check in with each other and just be like, hey, how are you doing? Hope camping's going well. So that's been a little like weird, I guess, but I did get a little like nervous at first, but you know, after like an hour or two, I was like, honestly, he'll be all right. He's a smart guy. He'll figure it out. So, since then, I haven't been too worried. Like, I was just kind of trying to fill the day doing little things. And then he just texted me, I think 20 minutes ago or so, and was like, well, 20 minutes ago before I started this video. And he let me know that he was on his way home and he had signal again. So that's great. And he'll be back, I think, in about 3 hours. So I'm gonna try to get some food from the store and maybe prep a few things to see what he'd want to eat. Or we might just do takeout. I'm not sure yet. But essentially just kind of like, hey, I know camping takes a lot out of you, even though you're just kind of chilling most of the time. And like, welcome back to our familiar space. So, but yeah, that's kind of been my weekend. It was my first weekend alone, like without being able to contact Art in a long time. So it was weird. It made me a little nervous at first, but in the end, I think it's healthy and positive, and you know, it just kind of makes things feel almost like normal again, with considering like with COVID, we're always seeing each other. So this was a nice like, hey, we can do our own thing for a little bit and it'll be all right, because at the end of the day, or at the end of a couple days, we'll come back together and reintervene. So yeah, that's kind of a bunch of stuff in a nutshell. I do want to continue trying to make more of these videos just to kind of update you guys on what's going on, especially if we do move. I would love to do, you know, a tour of the new place, and if we do, I'll do like a final tour of this place. But yeah, just wanted to update you guys on a lot of information and just kind of blurt out a ton of stuff that's been going on. So yeah, COVID's crazy, the presidential stuff is crazy, like the news is crazy, political debates, you know, the riots have kind of calmed down, but that is still lingering. There's a lot of fire warnings, so a ton of people need to evacuate their homes. Thankfully, we're not in those dangerous spaces yet, but Art's parents are pretty close to a fire, so they might have to evacuate their home, which is Art's childhood home. So it's just a lot to think about, and even with all the negativity going on and all of the stress and all of the worries, like, I'm trying to just stay hopeful and positive and just like, at the end of the day, realize like, hey, we've been through so much already. We'll get through this. Like, at the end of the day, don't stress. Like, only focus on the stuff that you can control, because there's so much other crap going on that we can't control. So it's just like self-reminder, meditate, breathe, like get through things. Been trying to do yoga more regularly, just because like I'm feeling emotionally and physically fatigued some days, so I don't really want to work out, and especially since the mask that I've been using for running might not be the best for COVID risks, so I'd rather just stay indoors and do yoga and stretches, and that's what I plan to do at least for the next week or two, until I can find a mask that's a little better for me to take with me on my runs. But until then, not sure. I'll let you know. But I think with that, I'm gonna end this, and then I'll just save additional updates for next time. Sorry, I think my computer just stopped, so not even sure if that recorded. Oh, it did. Okay, cool. So with that, I will end this, and Have a good day, have a good week, and I will see you guys next time.